Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here. I'm today with Toonami's ratings from the first Saturday of 2021, January 2nd, 2021. Let's start at the top of the block. At the top of the block, we have Dragon Ball Super at a 0.22, Sword Art Online Underworld at a 0.19, Fire Force at a 0.19, The Assassination Classroom at a 0.18, Jimbo Seto at a 0.16, followed by another 0.16, Naruto Shippuden at a 0.17, and Demon Slayer at a 0.11. Overall, this was I'll say uneventful week might be the best way to put it overall, with one very notable exception I'll get to in a moment. First, let's look at how the block begins. Like I keep saying, the first show of the night always seems to set the stage. Dragon Ball Super, the last couple regular nights, had been pulling in like 0.24s, 0.25s. However, it drops a bit to a 0.22 this week. Normally that means that, oh no, everything behind it plummeted. You can't really say that. The shows behind it still held fairly well. Like I said, the magic number typically for me is a 0.2. If you have at least two shows get a 0.2, I call it a decent night. However, there was only one with Dragon Ball Super, but there were two shows right there at a 0.19. And then you have Assassination Classroom right there at 0.18 too. And again, that's just one interesting tidbit that Toonami seemingly has always had, especially the last 2 or so years. And that is having rock solid retention like in the middle of the block. Like, yeah, you drop 300s from Dragon Ball Super to Sword Art Online. Well, everything drops from Dragon Ball Super unless it's named My Hero Academia or Boruto. And Boruto's never coming back. And My Hero Academia will probably get, and I'm guessing May. I believe it's debuting, the new season's debuting in Japan in like late March. And if you take time for dubbing, the fact that nothing's going to be normal speed by then, I'll say May, and that's kind of being optimistic, especially since Funimation now has first rights to the dub. So it's not like necessarily there's going to be a push to them be put on to Toonami like we have for Attack on Titan. But again, and then like I said, Sword Art Online 0.19. Honestly, personally, it's gotten to the point where I think Sword Art Online is like, there's like this general like kind of a stereotype, and a pretty accurate stereotype to be honest, about Adult Swim and Adult Swim shows, is that you have to be really, really high to like it. It's kind of gotten to that point with the War of the Underworld for me. I try following it. It makes no sense now. It's more like, what ideas can we do that seem cool? You know, I mean, in this season, I mean, already got the tentacle scene out of the way for this season, so there's probably gonna be no more rape. But I mean, what other ideas does Sword Online have? It's like, okay, we can't do rape. We already did that. Well, we technically did that way back in Alicization, and they kind of did it again in part two of War of the Underworld. I think in the first episode of the part two. And again, it was a random scene. But enough about that. And it's like, what else? Kirito swordplay. Oh wait, he's still kind of vegetative at this point. Well, let's focus on the background characters. I'm just gonna get too much into a rant about it if I keep going like this. So on to those shows. Fire Force holding well, 0.19. It holds solid from War of the Underworld. The Assassination Classroom at a 0.18. And then you have Jim Macedo. I believe, yes, this is, I believe, the last or second. I believe this, yeah, this is a second to last week Jim Aceta's on the block. I believe it airs again next week, and then it's off to make room for SSSS Gridman on the 16th. And then you have Shippuden. Built. Shippuden hasn't built lately. But why would it build now? Why would it be at a 0.17, which is the highest Shippuden's, honestly, I think ever been since I started actually paying attention to Toonami's ratings? So why was it high this week? I've been told it was a particularly hyped up episode featuring the debut, I believe, of a very hyped up character. I've been told that, which would explain why people were really tuning in for Naruto, and just tuned off right when Demon Slayer came there for 0.11. But to be serious though, Demon Slayer 0.11, that's pretty good for the slot at 10. Overall, it's a pretty decent week, especially when you consider Naruto, which I'm going to call the winner of this week. And there's one interesting thing I noted when I looked at Show Buzz Daily. Right here, well, when I get to the actual thing, I'm just showing like the news clipping from like the actual word from like the paragraph that described what happened. However, if you look at the actual table, they separate it by age bracket. So it's like 18 to 49, which is the key bracket. There's also like 12 to 34, and there's also the 50 older. However, they also split it by sex too. So you can see what the males from each demographic and the females from each demographic rate. One thing I've noted was that Typically, Toonami, there's slightly more males than females, and that's been pretty consistent. I'd estimate about 60% of the Toonami viewer base, in general, with some obvious variation, is about male. However, I pointed out a few weeks ago that Fire Force, probably for the first time ever, actually had a majority female viewership according to the ratings, as in the female rating was actually higher than the male rating. Like I said, not really that common for Toonami. And I pointed out this is something to watch. If Fire Force is going to pop upward and really become a star, it's going to be because of female viewership. Female viewership wasn't there this week. I don't remember. I don't have right in front of me the actual splits, but I believe for Fire Force it was like 0.16 for females and like 0.22 for males. However, another thing to note is that Assassination Classroom hemorrhages with females. Like it gets like a 0.12 with females and like a 0.25 with males. Honestly, I have no idea why it would split like that based on watching it. I don't know. If you have any idea, just tell me because I'm honestly lost for that. But again, that's something interesting to note for. And I think if we're talking about the long-term future of Toonami, that's going to be the key is keeping up female viewership, which Toonami really isn't doing the best job of right now. And honestly, it's gonna be one of those like, look, don't ask me about how to get the females to watch. I'm not a female. I have absolutely no idea how to do this. But that's another interesting thing to keep note of in the future for Toonami, I think, along with other plot lines. Like, for example, the next few weeks are gonna be pretty interesting just by the shows we have. Next week, we're gonna have Attack on Titan season 4 debuting on the block right after Dragon Ball Super. So it'll be squeezed in between Dragon Ball and Sword Art Online. And then the week after that, you have Jimaseto Death Beats removed from the block, and it'll be a straight replacement with SSSS Cridman. So that's going to be interesting to see. Honestly, it's going to be hard to guess where things are going to go from here. My prediction is that Attack on Titan will rate at a 0.19. A lot of people are talking about what about the excitement for the new season? I think the people who are particularly excited and want to use it as like appointment watching, they're just gonna they're just gonna watch the sub before watching the dub. And if you watch the sub, there's no particular rush to come back to the dub. But I don't think that the ratings are be necessarily that high for Attack on Titan. But again, I've been surprised before. What do you guys think? I mean, geez, it's pretty interesting. Like, pretty pretty interesting ratings this week. Pretty interesting in how boring they are, with the exception of Naruto Shippuden. And other than like, there's nothing else to say. But what do you guys think? What's your opinion on the ratings for this week? What shows should Toonami put on the schedule soon? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I love reading them. If you like this, if you want more Toonami news content like this, please like, please comment, and subscribe. I am the Super Orange Cat, and that is all.